Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you tonight with a WWE Network review of SummerSlam 1999. We're going to go down a path of a really great main event. Mankind versus Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H. Triple H, honestly, was on his way to being one of the hottest guys in the company. If you'd gone through, you'd seen the rise of DX. Triple H is a babyface character, honestly, in my opinion. When they did the breakup of DX, when he turned on X-Pac at WrestleMania, was probably as high as he was ever going to get. He won the Intercontinental Championship a few times, but in that character, honestly, he was never going to break through and be a WWF champion. I think that he needed to join the corporation, even though once he did that, he really sort of got lost, sort of in the back shuffle, especially when they did the merger of the ministry and the corporation. He sort of really got pushed to the back again, where they were trying to put him in main event spots, but there just was no spot to put him right at the very top of the list. Finally, he was able to break through a few sort of promos. They did this sort of shoot-style promos with Jim Ross, where he was saying it was his time, where he brought up everything that happened with the Madison Square Garden Click incident. Basically, he was supposed to win the King of the Ring. That was supposed to be his push, to that little bit of a more mid-card main event role. Because of that, Stone Cold Steve Austin got the win, and he was going to have to wait a whole another year where basically he was eating shit by basically, having to fight in hog pin matches and everything like that. And he'd done his time, and he felt like he was one of the best wrestlers in the WWF, and he needed to have his time show. When this match came up for SummerSlam 1999, basically it was held in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Basically, Vince McMahon was looking for some sort of a publicity push. One of the biggest sort of wrestling celebrities at the time was Jesse Ventura, who had won the mayorship or governor. Wasn't it governor? Governor's above mayor. He won it of Minnesota. He was sort of looked at as sort of like a surprise win. Everybody sort of saw him on the ballot, and it was sort of like as a joke for Jesse. And then all of a sudden, you woke up in the morning, Jesse Ventura was the governor of Minnesota, and everybody was sort of looking at each other like, "Oh shit, what did we just do?" Same thing California would do years later. Voting Arnold Schwarzenegger. How he was able to win once, and then how he was able to win twice, I have no clue. Arnold is the governor of the city that I live in, or the whole state that I live in. Honestly, he just seemed like he just sort of sat around. He was never able to get anything done. He came in with the right people around him, so I sort of gave him the benefit of the doubt. But in the end, 8 years later, we're still fucked. We still live in California. But basically, the build-up to SummerSlam 1999, if you were watching at this time, was one of the best. They had a three-way match that was set up by Commissioner Michaels that was to find the #1 contendership. It was Undertaker, Triple H, and who do you think the third person was? Chyna. I don't know how it really got put together. I can't really remember, but I do remember that, WWF, Chyna, SummerSlam were put on a huge pedestal after this because everybody was talking about how Chyna won this match. Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was working an angle because he was going to go out on injury after SummerSlam, where he got taken out by somebody in the back. He got hit over the head with a cinder block, if I remember right. Austin became involved in this match. He knocked out Triple H on the outside. Chyna pinned him 1, 2, 3 while Undertaker was on the other side of the ring. Chyna pinned Triple H. You come back to the next Monday as the build-up, after you have a whole week-long build of, Chyna's the #1 contender. Chyna versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at SummerSlam. You're thinking, as they set up the match, Triple H versus Chyna. You're like, wow, okay, this is when he's going to give it back. She beat Triple H again 2 times in a row. 2 weeks, back-to-back Monday Night Raws. Chyna beats Triple H. Huge. You would think that, okay, now it's finally set in stone. She has to do it. She's won 2 #1 contendership matches. Mankind comes running down. He wants to get involved in this somehow. So Mankind wrestles against Chyna. He's able to beat Chyna. Triple H gets back involved in this. Triple H fights Mankind to find the undisputed #1 contendership for the SummerSlam show. They find a way to pin each other in the end. So now we end up with this 3-way. Now, you build up to everything that was going down. You know, basically Stone Cold Steve Austin is going out on injury. You got Mankind, who's a former champion, got thrown into this whole deal. And you got Triple H, the guy that's huge to get pushed up the top. Anyone who was watching wrestling that time thought it was an easy decision. Triple H is going to win this match. Vince McMahon had to come to the understanding that basically he can't have, you know, a huge, you know, even though he is a previous wrestling star, you know, basically he can't have Jesse the Body Ventura come off looking like a heel on TV as he is governor. I know that, you know, TMZ wasn't as big as the internet reporting on celebrities and things, but basically he didn't want Jesse to have the bad press of basically him holding up the hand of a heel, you know, and handing him the WWF Championship. I know that they redid this later on down the road. Not redid this, but, you know, Jesse came back as the host of Monday Night Raw, and with that, he helped Sheamus become the #1 contender holder for to wrestle the tables match at TLC with John Cena, which, you know, later on became, you know, Sheamus's first run. But, you know, at the time, it didn't sound like a bad deal. And throughout the years, Stone Cold Steve Austin has sort of, you know, taken the heat from fans for basically everyone thinking that he didn't want to give Triple H a championship run because he was protective of his spot, so we gave it to Mankind. So, you know, they go out there, they have an awesome match. This is a very, very good match. Mankind gets the win in the end. This is a very, very good match because basically they lay out the storyline throughout the whole show is that basically Jesse the Body Ventura is, you know, explaining the rules to all these guys. He's, you know, he's introducing himself, and he's saying that basically we're going to do this the right way. We're going to do it clean. You know, basically, if there's any outside interference in all this, or if there's, you know, you guys hit anybody with a chair, we're not going to see anything. And there's a spot in this match where Triple H lays everybody out with the chair, and he goes down to pin, and Jesse the Body Ventura takes a vacation. He basically walks to the corner and just takes a break, just starts looking around, just, you guys do what you want, but we're not going to find a winner that way. Mankind does get the win in this match. You'd have to, you know, tune in on Monday. You know, Mankind held the belt for 24 hours, basically, where Triple H beat Mankind. That would be the start of his run, where he would hold it until I think he was at Survivor Series. Big Show got the title, and then I believe it was the last Raw of the new year. It might have been the first Raw of the new year, where Triple H started his huge run that really got the ball running. But this was honestly a very good show. Make sure you check this out on DVD over the network, basically just because of the special features that you're going to find on the disc. Back in the old days, I think WWF didn't really know what people wanted. They wanted to jump on board with DVD because they felt like it was the wave of the future, but you know, the documentaries to me were a little bit weird because sometimes they went kayfabe, sometimes they, you know, they told the true story, sometimes they stuck to just basically, you know, this is what happened in the ring and this is it. You know, they don't really talk about what happened behind the curtain, like what they do with the ones now. But this one has the main event match with 3 different audio commentaries. You get to watch the match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, you get to watch the match with Mankind, and you get to watch the match with Triple H, where all 3 of them give the insight on what's going down inside of the ring at that time. All of them are done in character, which makes them pretty good. But that's my guess. Go over to Amazon, pick this up. I haven't looked this up in a long time, but make sure you buy the not the one that's on the anthology, but buy the actual real release that came out, the DVD, not the VHS, to get those. You know, you had Jeff Jarrett wrestle against D'Lo in the opening match, where basically it looked like Deborah and Jeff Jarrett had broke up because D'Lo Brown comes out with Deborah, but it ends up being an elaborate rouge in order to basically get everybody all weirded out what is going down. Basically, in this match, you would think D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry working hand in hand as Nation members, but basically Jeff Jarrett had paid off Mark Henry. Mark Henry jumps in the ring. He hits D'Lo Brown over the head with the guitar. Jeff Jarrett gets to win the Intercontinental and the European Championships right there. Very good tag team turmoil match where basically you have, you know, I believe it was 5 different matches in a row, all with the tag team in order to see who the #1 contendership is. The gimmick is that they sort of pick these spots at random, almost like the Royal Rumble. So you don't want to be in there first, and you don't want to be in there last, but as long as you keep winning, you sort of set the precedence for what's going down. It wasn't like a Four Corners match where basically one fall decides all. Most of the time they do elimination with that, but basically they always would run the gimmick where as long as you were in the ring you could set your own destiny, because if you were on the outside you couldn't get the pinfall. But basically a very good match to start this off is Edge and Christian going up against the Hardy Boys, who are being known as the New Brood at this time. Edge and Christian really ran the show for a good while. They beat the Hardys, they beat Mideon and Viscera, they beat Draws and Albert before they took a fall to the Acolytes, and then the Holly Cousins, Hardcore and Crash came down and they were able to get the win in that one. Very good. If they just would have done a long match with the Edge and Christian versus the Hardys, it would have been even better. But you can see a lot of faces out there. Al Snow and Big Boss Man wrestled a hardcore match for the Hardcore Championship. Basically in this one it was pretty cool. Road Dogg, who was the #1 contender, I guess you could say, because he's telling everybody that he's going to be there on Monday Night Raw and he's going to get his title shot. He comes out to the ring with a microphone and then he joins the announce team where, basically he has a run-in with Chris Jericho, or Chris Jericho has his big introduction. He had just came in at this time. It was sort of thought that SummerSlam was going to be where he had his first match on pay-per-view, but he just did a promo against Road Dogg, and I don't even really remember if they ever did anything with that, if they ever had a match to blow this off. But basically, Road Dogg gets off of the announce team, and basically he's the guy who's going to follow the action as Al Snow and Boss Man fight throughout the arena. And Road Dogg is there with a microphone attached to the house mic, and he's talking to everybody about what's going on, calling the action. This one finally ends up where they start bawling through the street, and it looks like nobody knew that this was going, or very well done acting by everybody that is out there. They end up going into a pool hall. Al Snow pins Big Boss Man on top of a pool table. He enters back into the arena on his victory lap to find his dog to attack the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards for apparently no reason, but he beat the shit out of both of them. Ivory beat Tori in a women's championship match. Nothing much there except for Ivory tries to rip Tori's top off after the match, where Luna Vachon comes running down and runs Ivory off. Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman had a weird match in the Lion's Den this year. The Lion's Den was actually held inside of the arena, right off to the side of the stage. There were weapons like nunchucks and kendo sticks and everything like that wrapped around there. This was a weird match. Shamrock got the win over Blackman, and I don't really know how he did it. Blackman was whipping Shamrock's ass with a whole bunch of weapons, and all of a sudden Shamrock just turned red, started beating the shit out of Blackman, and then they just rang the bell, and it was weird to me. Great match, Test versus Shane McMahon. A lot of people on Twitter are always pushing for Shane McMahon to get his own WWE DVD. This is definitely one of the matches that's going to be put on there. This is basically Shane McMahon saying that he doesn't want Test dating his sister anymore. Test and Shane McMahon hit each other with everything in the world. A glass-framed picture of the Mean Street Posse, who are also out there. They're sitting at ringside, but a few times during this match they jump the guardrail to help out Shane McMahon in this match, but Tess is able to drop the big elbow on top of Shane in order to get the win. Stephanie comes running down, all proud that Tess is able to get the win. Great story, great match, pretty good stuff. Undertaker and Big Show beat X-Pac and Kane for the Tag Team Championships. And then in one of the weirdest matches of all time, normally when you win the King of the Ring, you're pushed up as like King Mabel. SummerSlam 1995, 1995. Guessing. SummerSlam 1995, he won the King of the Ring, which basically made him the #1 contender to Diesel. Mr. Ass, Badass Billy Gunn, he wins the King of the Ring, and what does he do? He gets a match with The Rock, and not any kind of match. Kiss my ass match. I guess it is, you get to work with one of the #1 guys in the company in a very featured, sub-main event. I don't know. The Rock didn't give Billy Gunn much in this match. This was an ass whooping. Pretty good way to bury your King of the Ring. I'm not going to say that Badass Billy Gunn was one of the worst. I'm not going to say that he was one of the worst King of the Rings of all time, but he's got to be close. He's got to be one of those ones that you wish never really happened. Maybe Mabel, but at least Mabel got to be the #1 contender and fight at SummerSlam for the title. When Billy Gunn won it, he didn't really get anything out of it. But this is a great show. I highly recommend you watch it on the WWE Network. If you have a few bones in your pocket, make sure you go over and you pick up the DVD. Buy it used. You'll save a whole lot of money, and you'll get a whole bunch of special features on there that you guys can check out. Peace out, everybody.